Hi guys, this is Mr. O'Brien again. Hope you're doing well. I've come up with some new projects for us to try this week. They're all going to involve collage or cutting and gluing, taping, pasting, stapling materials together. I know some of you guys are going to have different materials available. You can use white paper, line paper, construction paper. Think about using recycled materials, cardboard, plastic bottles, straws, toothpicks, whatever you kind of have around the house. I'd also encourage you guys to maybe put a box and set it aside. Go ahead and fill it with let's say empty cereal boxes. Take the bag out, throw that away, keep the cardboard. Keep water bottles, keep plastic containers. Things that you can use as art supplies, since some of you might not have a lot at home. So go ahead and start setting some of that stuff aside so we can start using those materials as we can kind of continue over the next couple of weeks. Hope you guys are doing well, and let's get started. Okay, so today we're going to work with construction paper or regular paper and do a collage and create a artwork that deals with positive negative space. Positive space, if I were to draw a picture of a person, positive space would be the background, positive space would be the person, and the negative space would be the background. It's usually the empty area around an object. Think about also like a person and a shadow. The person would be positive, the shadow would be negative. And so we're going to create an artwork using positive negative space. Now I know we all have different materials at home. I figure most of us have scissors, have things like tape, maybe glue, and also another way to attach pieces of paper would be a stapler. So we're going to use basically these tools. Now your paper could be construction paper. It could be a magazine and a white piece of paper. It could be a striped piece of paper and a white piece of copy paper. As long as the two pieces of paper are different, this is going to work. So we want to try to get a piece of paper that's about either 8.5 by 11 or 9 by 12. And we're going to use these to make positive negative space artwork. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you guys how it might look using construction paper. So I selected two pieces of paper, black and red. Might look a little brown on the video, but it is black, maybe a little bit faded. And I'm going to take one of the pieces of paper and I'm going to cut it in half. So I'm going to take my black piece of construction paper. I'm going to fold it in half. Actually, let's do this. Let's use the red construction paper. Black is great, or dark purple or blue. However, if I were to draw on that on a really dark piece of paper for the video, you might not be able to see my line. So I'm going to pick the red instead. So let's go ahead and take this, fold it in half, and you can either gently tear, being very careful to go all the way down your paper, or you can use a pair of scissors. If there's something you're having trouble with, you can maybe always ask maybe an older sibling or your mom and dad or somebody at home, whoever's at home, to maybe help you with it. So now we have two pieces of paper. Now we're only going to use one of these. Don't throw away your other piece. We probably will find a way to use this in a later project. But let's go ahead and set that to the side, and we'll keep that for later. Now we have our construction paper, and we're going to create a positive negative space. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw a picture on the half sheet of paper, and we're going to cut it out. Now, normally, a lot of times when we cut something out, whatever the background is, we would throw away. But we're not going to do that. So I'm going to make, I think I did this, I've done this before, but I'm going to go and make a dinosaur. Something pretty simple. I'm making whatever I'm drawing, I'm making it big. You don't want to do little tiny details because little tiny things are going to be hard to cut out. So I'm making everything kind of big. And if you notice, I'm going all the way down to the bottom of my paper. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to cut out a part for the leg, or maybe the two legs. I'm also going to add an area for the tail. So here we have the legs. Here we have one of the arms. You could put the other arm here as well. And the legs and the tail. I'm not going to worry about the eye. If I want to add the eye, I can always draw it in. We can always add details to it with pencil and things like that. Now, if you notice, part of my drawing has to go past the edges of the paper. Like, has to go past the edges here so I can cut in and cut the piece out. Now, normally you have this little part here down between the legs. You want to make sure you save that. Don't lose that. And then we're going to go and we're going to cut our piece out. Now, those little pieces we cut out between the legs and around the tail, we do want to keep those, and I'll show you what we're going to use them for in just a second. So again, you can kind of see that I'm trying to cut it out as best I can. But again, the smaller areas, if you make things really small, it's going to be harder to cut them out. You know, also easier to cut things out. I'm also turning my paper as I cut rather than trying to turn my wrist. And it makes it easier for me to kind of move around a little bit. And when I turn it, I'm cutting very lightly, or I'm opening my scissors a little bit, so it allows me to turn. Now, I don't know what kind of scissors you have at home. I don't have the small kind of kid scissors. I'm using scissors that I have using at the house. But, you know, if you're using bigger or sharper scissors, I would probably do this with your, you know, get your parents or an older brother or sister to help you if you're worried about the scissors and how sharp they are. So just be careful. Almost done. Okay, so now we have the positive negative space. Again, we're going to make something that's somewhat symmetrical. So I'm adding my dinosaur to one half of my picture. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the other half and make a mirrored image. Now I need to make sure that I keep these little pieces, and I want to try to put them in about the same spot to show where the tail is. And you kind of see how I've placed them on both sides. Now all I have to do is glue them down. Again, if you don't have glue, you can use tape. Or if you have a stapler, you could staple around the edges. It might be hard to get on the inside, but you could always add some staples to the outside edges to make sure at least the main piece doesn't move. And so this is how we create a positive negative space. I could go in here with color pencil or crayon or regular pencil, and I could go in here and add in details. to create eyes and my nose, and I could create, you know, some marks for the scales. I could also, since I'm working on a blank piece of construction paper or a dark color, instead of, if I drew a pencil on there, you probably wouldn't be able to see what I'm doing. But if I wanted to add detail to that side as well, I would probably go with a white crayon, because white is going to work really well on dark colors. So if I want to add in, you know, an eye or something, or again my nose, and add in some marks, they kind of mirror the other side. It's going to work really well with a white crayon. So that's all we're going to create today. Hope you guys are, you know, feel free to design whatever you want, add details to it, and we'll see you guys next week. Thanks.